Okay, okay. Your PPT is useful, sir. Can you scroll down, sir? Your PPT.
It's
Please scroll down your PPT, sir.
Sir?
Sir, can you go to another slide, sir? Can you go to the down?
Yeah, sure. Sir. Yeah,
Everything I do, so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move, so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative when you should be getting after it. I got facts over tracks, this and that. Spitting slow, spitting fast, I can roast, I can gas. Think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past and the pettiness. A reflection of the emptiness, hilarious. You think you're with my time, you're delirious, mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior, inferior. You know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains that last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to
Sir,
last. Yeah.
please close and open, sir. Very technical issue.
it's
Tryna learn the consequence of being incompetent. Mental health is confidence, dreams and some modestness. I'm not here to say the bit, that's for you to take away. We could play a million mind games, but instead of say something not illogical, something that is topical. Rub it on and watch it go, make yourself unstoppable. If you're irresponsible, but they're always possible. If you just believe, you could be so remarkable. Thoughts in my head, a collage and they spread. I'll be great one day, going off of my meds. No, I'm not giving up, no, I'm not giving in. I will make it to the top, taking off in the wind. I gotta make it. I'm saving every day to taste it. I'm patient, but my mind, it can hardly take it. I'm chasing a dream that I've had for several ages. I'm vacant, modern kingdom for the taking. Now that I've been put through hell, I've never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the
Yes,
fakeness.
sir, your PPT is useful. Can you go to the next
Always
slide,
show
sir?
up and make a statement. Everything I do, so instinctive. instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who patented being negative.
Yes, sir, it was me. Sir, can you turn on our mic,
I
sir?
got facts over tracks, this and that, spitting slow, spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past and the pettiness. A reflection of the emptiness, hilarious. You think you're worth my time, you're delirious, mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior, inferior. You know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains that last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah. Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself.
Sir, am I audible, sir?
Yes, sir. You're audible. Can you go to your downside? They're just checking.
Consequence of being incompetent. Mental health is confidence, streets of modestness. I'm not here to save the day, that's for you to take away. I could play a million mind games, but instead I say something not illogical, something that is topical. Rub it on and watch it go, make yourself unstoppable. Dreams are irresponsible, but they're always possible. If you just believe, you could be so remarkable. Thoughts in my head, a collage and they spread. I'll be great one day, going off of my meds. No, I'm not giving up, no, I'm not giving in. I will make it to the top, taking off in the wind. I gotta make it, I'm saving every day to taste it. I'm patient, but my mind, it can hardly take it. I'm chasing a dream that I've had for several ages. A vacant, modern kingdom for the taking. Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement.
I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
Sir, PPT is working properly, sir? Or any problem?
Sir, what is it? Yeah, yes, sir,
Please.
sure, sir. It's working. Sometimes I get us technical problems, sir.
Okay.
Then I will.
Okay, sir. If you want, sir, can you screen share on PPT in your mobile?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Sir, shall I share to you?
Can you say? Okay, I already shared the Google Meet with you, sir.
Yes, sir.
You
sir,
can
I
share
already-
in you can share me in mobile also, sir.
No.
Everything I do so instinctive and so passionate. Every word I move so descriptive like an adjective. I got a vendetta against people who
Sir, shall we start our presentation, yeah?
Should be getting after it.
Shall I begin, sir?
I got facts over
Or
facts
shall I
over
wait
tracks,
for,
this and that, spitting
time,
slow,
sir?
spitting fast. I could roast, I could gas, think I'm okay at last, but I don't know if that can erase all the past and the pettiness. A reflection of the emptiness, hilarious. You think you're worth my time, you're delirious, mysterious, because you hide behind a fake exterior, inferior. You know I'll always be a bit superior. Get off of me, this ain't no humble brag. I want you to hear words, you can say them back. I want you to feel free from the chains that last, and to believe in what you got, it was built to last, yeah.
Yes, sir. You are audible.
Please hold on to PPT.
I had to do it all myself. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. Gonna learn the consequence of being incompetent. Mental health is confidence, dreams into modestness. I'm not here to save the day, that's for you to take away. I could play a million mind games, but instead I say something not illogical, something that is topical. Rub it on and watch it go, make yourself
There is any
unstoppable.
problem?
Dreams are irresponsible, but they're always possible. If you just believe, you could be be so remarkable. Thoughts in my head, a collage and they spread. I'll be great one day, going off of my meds. No, I'm not giving up, no, I'm not giving in. I will make it to the top, taking off in the wind. I gotta make it. I'm saving every day to taste it. I'm patient, but my mind, it can hardly take it. I'm chasing a dream that I've had for several ages. A vacant modern kingdom for the taking. Now that I've been put through hell, I never got anyone's help. I had to do it all myself. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up.
Sir, whether this is working, sir?
Please hold on, sir.
Ah,
It's working,
is
sir.
it okay? If it's audible to, whether is visible to all?
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
Okay, sir.
After.
Okay, sir. Sir, after introduced by our anchor, you start webinar, sir. Okay.
Yeah, sure, sir. Sure, sir. Always.
Okay, okay, sir. Okay, sir. Okay.
Sure,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.
Good evening, everyone. A warm welcome to the International Webinar on Idea to Publication Ethics at Every Step. If you want to become a resource person, a coordinator for a free online faculty development program, we will provide a link in the comment section. If you are interested, please join through that link. We will commence the webinar in a few minutes as some participants are still joining. To ensure a smooth and focused section, please keep your microphone is muted during this section. Participants who unmuted the parent permission may be removed.
ஃப்ரீதாம்மா.
Good evening, everyone. We warmly welcome you to the one-day free international webinar on from idea to publication, ethics at every step. If you want to become a resource person, a coordinator for a free online faculty development program, we will provide a link in the comment section. If you are interested, please join through that link. We will commence the webinar in a few minutes as some participants are still joining. To ensure a smooth and focused section, please keep your microphone muted during this section. Participants who unmuted without prior permission may be removed. Good evening, everyone. We warmly welcome you to the one-day free international webinar on from ideal to publication, ethics at every step. If you want to become a resource person, a coordinator for a free online faculty development program, we will provide a link in the comment section. If you are interested, please join through that link. We will commence the webinar in a few minutes as some participants are still joining. To ensure a smooth and focused section, please keep your microphone is muted during this section. Participants who unmuted without prior permission may be removed. Good evening, everyone. We warmly welcome you to the one-day free international webinar from ideal to publication, ethics at every step. If you want to become a resource person, a coordinator for a free online faculty development program, we will provide a link in the comment section. If you are interested, please join through that link. We will commence the webinar in a few minutes as some participants are still joining. To, to ensure a smooth and focused session, please keep your microphones muted during the section. Participants who unmuted without permission may be removed. Our special thank to you, convener K. Kritika, co-convener Dr. Meena, coordinator Sriran Mahala Tagore. Thank you all for your exceptional efforts, contribution and continuously support in your planning and executing the section successfully. The Google Meet capacity currently full. If your friends or colleagues are writing to you logging them, please suggest them join on YouTube live chat. The feedback and certificate link in share on YouTube live chat as well as on Google Meet chat. I'm I'm Sivaranjan from Skill Advice. Now it is my privilege to introduce our estimate speaker, Dr. R. Ravishankar. Dr. R. Ravishankar is a dedicated academic and committed to contributing to a growing institution through continuous self-development, innovation, and sincere service. He has published two scopes indexed research papers, presented four papers in national conferences in three international forums, and has attended 16 additional academic events with 4 years of experience as an assistant professor of English. His strong technical and professional skills, including MS Office, ADCA, PowerPoint presentation, extemporization, speaking, and effective handling in communication classes, along with the expertise in on- online and distance teaching. In the area of research, he has successfully graded 6 undergraduate and 1 postgraduate in their project works. He has extension activity including participants in the Chief Minister of Independence Day Parade in Chennai, involvement in 7 days NSS Special Camp Shialam, and serving and coordinator for a NSS, RRCA, YRC, and PGNOK at the college level. It has along also organizing various services and awareness programs such as health campuses, dental campuses, AIDS awarenesses, COVID awarenesses, and plantations during reflecting ER committed social responsibility and international welfare. It's over to you, sir.
Madam, shall I begin my presentation, ma'am?
Yes, sir.
Hello, madam. Yes, ma'am. Very good evening to one and all present here. I'm so happy to say that I have to thank MSME because they have given me a wonderful opportunity to share my views on this topic, ethical perspectives in research writing. And I personally thank Sri sir for that. He has been taking that effort, relentless effort, restless effort to conduct this set of the programs. I'm so happy, sir, and I have to thank Sivanjal ma'am for giving me that beautiful as well as the wonderful prologue on myself. My yes, before I would like to begin my presentations, I would like to start with a famous words of Swami Venda says that don't wait for the perfect moment. Take the moment and make it perfect in our life. Yes, actually, when we are going to that take any decisions by having that the courage, the valiant power in our life, then only we can we can made as a easiest as well as the successful manner. And the title of my presentation is that ethical perspectives in research editing as well as that ethics at every steps. So why that ethics is very much important or that is a proponent, it's a vital or important role. in research writings, in the paper of research papers, writing research about the articles or the stories. Why we have to depend upon, why we have to include the aspect, the ethical aspects, especially that ethics, virtue, as well as moral thoughts. Why we have to depend upon these ethics as well as the ethical perspectives. Before, I would like to tell you one thing that when you are going to do that any research, or when you are going to conduct any research or any studies, then before you should ask two questions in your life. The first question is called as how, yes, what you are going to do and how you are going to do. So these are that the powerful, most powerful questions which you have to ask every by yourself. So these questions will emulate, will give you that the enlightening ideas, will stimulate, will motivate, will emulate yourself to the path of your success. So here that we know that when the researcher is going to indulge or involve or that engage himself or herself doing that research, then they should that fully engaged. They should wholeheartedly engaged in the field of research, and they have to that frequently asking these questions while they are doing the research. And here that you know that ethics is a set of principle. It's a set of principle of the moral principles to guide the people, especially the practices. Why we have to debate upon ethics means. So if you are going to that give any false information or that any fabricated ideas or that any ideas or any chaotic ideas means, then that the whole research the patterns will be that affected by yourself. And also the researcher, he or she should ensure that whether that the researcher is having that honesty, they should have a honesty, and they should be transparency, as well as that there should be a reliability. So they have to ensure why the researcher should harness to the research means, then that the researcher is going to that stream the ideas of our consigns will instruct, will punish the others. So before that we are going to write, before we are going to create, before we are going to make any research or that creations of your art or that any scientific works, you should be honest. The researcher should have that honest, and then that they should be very biased to their research, and that should be that their reliability with them, between them. At the same time, I would like to tell you that a few poetical reference as well the dramatical reference from the most powerful writer, most powerful that English writer, William Shakespeare. We know that he's a dramatist, English dramatist, and he has written that more than 37 places. And there, that among 37 places, we would like to focus on that the four major tragic dramas of William Shakespeare. The very first drama, we know that Hamlet. So and then that's the second one is called as Othello, and third is called as the Macbeth, and also that yes, why we have to the Othello and King Lear and Macbeth. Why we have to take a reference for ethical ideas as well as the moral and the canon of ethics. Why we have to follow the principles of ethics. Why we have to follow that the moral of our morality for that the welfare of our research means that these four dramas can teach us, can inculcate us, can instruct us how to do the research, and why we have to depend upon the ethics. Why we have to do that the ethical ideas. The very first drama you can find in Hamlet. Actually, the drama, the theme of the drama Hamlet is called as the procrastination. Why actually the term, actually you could find the term procrastinations. We know that you know very well about it, delaying the date or that the postponing something or that getting late to do some work. So here that the researcher should not that procrastinate or delaying or postponing the work for anyone else, especially their research work for anyone as well as with anything. So they have to fully engage. They should not that procrastinate. When the researcher is going to give them some gap between their research means, then there should not be a consistency or that there should not be any persistence ideas or the thoughts in that research. So they should not that procrastinate or postpone or that delaying the times to do their research. So once if the researcher is going to do research on that the specific topic or the particular topic, then they have to fully, they have to wholeheartedly, they have to involve, they have to involve as well as they have to engage, and they have to indulge themselves in the field of research until the completion of the work, until the creation of the new creation of their works. At the same time, when it comes to the second trauma, is like Othello. It's called the theme of the trauma. It's called as the wrong suspicious. Why a researcher should not have the suspicious thoughts? So if a researcher who is having that the suspicious thoughts on his own thoughts or that the thoughts of others, then they have to critically, then she or he has to critically analyze the points, the ideas, the content, the speculations, the ideas, and the structure of the sentence also. So they have to critically analyze, and they can that right, they can create their work of art. There's no doubt. So without knowing or that without having that the enough evidence or that enough ideas or that the flexible ideas or that much plenty of ideas or the authentic ideas or speculations from the works of them, then they have to create it and they can write it. So when the researcher is having the suspected thoughts or the suspicion, then they should that critically analyze, then they can create their own art. And when it comes to that the third trauma of that King Lear, the theme of the trauma is called as wrong judgment. Why researcher should belongs to that the wrong judgment? Why the researcher should not judge his thoughts or judge about the thoughts of others as a wrong in a wrong manner? Why? Yes, actually he or she has to critically analyze and they have to verify whether that wrongly judged about or that whether they misunderstood or that miscomprehend the words of the thoughts of others. So they have to verify and they have to critically keenly observe the words of the others, especially their own thoughts, and then they can create their own thoughts. So yes, when you are going to the when the researcher is going to give that any false ideas or that any suspicious ideas or that suspect ideas means the followers of the youngster, the followers of the researchers, they will that delude or mislead their life. So that the researcher should produce a work of art with the proper books, proper that thoughts, and also the thoughts should be proper, the idea should be proper, and then that the content should be proper, and without having any suspicious thoughts on them. So here that the researcher should be familiar with two kinds of meaning. We know that when the critic says that Alan Date in his one of the famous critical work that's called Tension in Poetry. Tension in Poetry has mentioned that the researcher should have that about I mean the work or the work of art, whether the work of the scientific, it should contain that both tensions and extensions as well as intentions. So it should contain that both the moral as well as the ethical ideas to the others. At the same time, if the thought is not useful or that it's not valued or that it's not related to their content mean, then they should not write in their research papers. So it will it will affect their careers as well as so it will affect their academic works also, and not only that, not only affected by themselves but also the reputations of the institutions they are working, that it will also it will be also affected by themselves. So they have to verify the so once the researcher is going to write, or the researcher before they should have that the sense of contemplation or sense of creation, sense of thinking, the skill of thinking. So each and every researcher should have that the skill of creative ideas, and then only they can create. They can give them. They can create. They can give innovative ideas are enlightening ideas or the ideas which are useful or that are related to their content. So they should avoid to write the suspicious thoughts in their research papers. So when it comes to that, the fourth trauma is called as Macbeth, written by the William Shakespeare. In the trauma, actually, the theme of the trauma is containing that violating ambitions. Violating ambition, you know that a person who is having that the extreme desire or that like a wild desire or that yes, or that such a bride or that covetousness or the jealous or pride on themselves. In Tamil, we used to say that this is violating ambition. So they should not have that the sense of greediness on their research. So, for example, I have to create a new, which is apart from the others. So I have to do. I can that steal the ideas, then I can code it. My ideas it's my own. So this should not be that do in that act of research while they are doing the act of research. So they should create their own. At the same time, the researcher should not have that. the essence of volunteering ambitions. So they will have that, they can have that the ambitions towards on their research, but not a volunteering ambitions or greediness on the research of others. So it should be that eradicate, it should be reluctant, it should be avoided by the researcher. Then automatically the research paper, his research paper will be a fruitful one to that the youngster or that the young researchers. So that the researcher should avoid that having the sense of volunteering ambitions towards on their research. And there that we could find this the researcher should protect, should conserve, should protect the participants as well as the reputations of the institutions and also the credibility of the researcher. Why the researcher should take care, should preserve, should inculcate, sorry, should preserve, should conserve, should protect the participants of the researcher or the followers of his research papers or the followers of his their research writings means when the researcher is going to give any false ideas, then that the his followers also will follow, will persistently that following the works of the others. I mean the same researcher. So that we should protect our participants and also that the name of the reputations of the institutions and also the credibility of the researcher. So if the researcher on which that providing that the false information or the any fabricated ideas or that the ideas of others by without or by science quoting the citations of others, then it will affect the whole career of the whole academic career of the researchers, and also not only the researcher but also the reputations of the institutions and also that his research, this act of research also will be affected by himself or that. At the same time, the researcher to prevent the misconduct, such a fabrication like that, the plagiarism. So when it comes to that, the case of plagiarism, we know that the act of stealing, it's an intellectual theft to that stealing the ideas of others. So it should be reluctant, it should be avoid, it should be eradicated by the researcher while they are going to that to do their research, while they are going to create their art of creations or the art of their work or scientific work. And here that why we have to preserve that the mistake that is prevent misconduct. So the researcher should provide that through ideas as well the ideas of their own in their writings. Then only that the research paper, the researcher also will get that the benefit of this. And here that yes, so these things the researcher should follow that. Yes, the first one is procrastination, don't procrastinate and then don't have any suspicious thought and also don't wrongly judge about the works of others and also that long volatile ambitions. So the research work should contain both moral and canon of ethical ideas. Then only it will lead, it will instruct, it will inculcate, it will teach us, it will that utilize, it will be useful to the research as well as the youngsters. So next we move to the next slide is called as the academic integrity. Why we have that that this academic integrity. So the researcher should commit to the honesty. So we should do bias, we should do honest, we should bias, we should be truthful to our concerns. The researcher should truthful to their concerns. So if you are going to commit any that false ideas or that if you are going to mention that the ideas of others, then that your consent should instruct will that insist you should not do like this. For example, in literature, we used to say that the good folks, good people always be rewarded and fail people must be that punished. Like that, the good work of the art, good work of that art will be that appreciated by others. Like that, you should create your own ideas. You have to create, you have to emulate, you have to make, you have to construct your ideas by yourself. And before you should have trust yourself. For example, when that the American writer who is that Ralph Waldo Emerson, he actually mentioned in his one of the famous works, the self-reliance. The researcher should have that self-reliance, the sense of self-reliance. So the researcher should believe himself or herself to that yes, I can create my own thoughts, I can generate my thoughts, I can inculcate to others, I by way of it. Listen, when you are going to do the research, then initially that you will commit that a lot of errors, you will commit a bunch of errors. So if you are going to commit errors means then that is the first step to that do your proper research. So you should not think about yes the false informations or the miscomprehension the ideas which I have mentioned in your in your writings. So you should not feel or you should not worry, you should not bother about anything else. You have to keep on changing and you have to stay essential and staying the structures of the sentence also and the ideas and the content and the speculations you have to change it. And that to produce yes yes when the researcher is going to provide that the ideas which are related to or that useful to others, then that the strength of their academic level will be that increased. Not only that they, in research also but also in academics. So there that the researcher should produce the original work, the authentic work, giving that proper credit. Why the researcher should provide that, should produce, should reveal, should construct the original, the works of the original, the works of the authentic ideas, authentic work, because it will stand forever for them. So if they have created their own means, then they can stand at any part of the world. Yes, with the blessings of Dr. S. Ayapraja sir, my supervisor sir, he is frequently mentioning that we should have that self-confident as well as that we should create our own that works and we should not that steal the ideas of others like that. Star has teaching my research supervisor sir, the desk. Yes, like that I would like to mention. It's very proud to mention his name here. Yes, in the webinar. Actually, he made me like this. Here that the researcher should avoiding, actually reflecting that the cheating, the immoral activities of cheating or copying or the misrepresentations or the mispresentations of the others. Why they have to avoid cheating in the research? So when the researcher is going to that see the idea of others, then that the researcher cannot develop, cannot integrate his ideas, cannot have that the sense of creations, the creative knowledge, the sense of contemplations. They will lose their creations of creations. Those they have to create by themselves. Then only they can stand. Otherwise, that they will be always depending on others. So that the mistakes of that, the errors are that common. The man, the researcher, meant they have to face it, and they can provide it. Yes, they can produce their own work of art, and then that the ethical behavior is very much proponent, very much important as well as vital for that the researcher while they are collecting the data from the library as well as from the others. So when you are going to collect that the data for your research, there that you should not that copied all the words of the others, the writers or the others. So you have to create by your own. So after that reading of the works of others, if for example if your thought are both your thought as well as the authors, the primary authors, the thoughts may relevant, may semblance or that there will be a semblance or the resemblance between their thoughts means, then you have to modify the sentence, you have to construct by your words, and you can that you have to cite the names, you have to cite the primary author's name and then that the work name as well as the page number itself you have to mention it. Then you can that away from that the act of the immoral attitude of that the plagiarism. So you can the act of plagiarism you can escape, you can recall from that the act of plagiarism while you are using the data of, while you are using the ideas or the speculations or thoughts of others. So you can that escape, you can that recall, you can away, you can preserve, you can that conserve, you can protect yourself from that act of committing the plagiarism. And the next thing is the researcher is that essential for the building the researcher credibility. So when the researcher is going to create, produce his own work of art, then automatically the credits, the credibility of his academic, the strength of his academic will be increased by his one. So there is no doubt about it. So they have to avoid cheating as well as they have to avoid committing that. Sorry. Yes. Yes, they have to that. Sorry, researcher. Sorry, participants, for this Kim says. So they have to that build their identity. So when the researcher will create their own identity means when actually they are going to create their own work of art, then automatically the identity will be that created by themselves. So the credits also will goes to that the researcher. So next I move to that the act of plagiarisms. Why we have to that give priority as well as why we have to the important why we have to that keenly observe the words of plagiarism and also why we have to aware about plagiarism, why we have to the conscious about plagiarism, the act of plagiarism, why it is important, why we have to the away, why we should reluctant this act of plagiarism. So for yes, we know that a researcher, I mean, using that someone's ideas or that the words by without or by science having that the permissions, the authentic permission as well as the without proper the acknowledgement of the primary author, then automatically the researcher will committed that will be affected by the act of plagiarism. So the researcher should not let us steal the idea of others, and also they have to create by themselves. Then they can easily that away from that the plagiarism, the act of plagiarism. But at the same time, if the researcher want to that use the ideas of others, then they should cite, they should mention, they should cite the proper citations of the works of the author. Is that the name of the author and the page number of the author? You have the page number of that the works you have to mention in your that the citations of the so that it will that it will that preserve or that conservate the persons. I mean the researcher from the act of committing plagiarism. So we know that like this, we should not get involve or indulge in the act of plagiarism. So we have to create. Yes, I have already mentioned that if you want, if both that your thoughts as well as the thoughts of the primary author, then you have to cite, you have to mention the name of the books as well as the name of the thoughts. Then you will be that away from the act of plagiarism. At the same time that using yes using someone's ideas words or the work by without a proper citation or the acknowledgement, you we should not that use the works of others. At the same time that it also that pertaining to that the legal as well as the intellectual tip, we should not commit the act of plagiarism. At the same time, the researcher should not involve or engaged or that encounter in the act of stealing the idea of others. If they are going to that indulge the idea of others, then automatically it will then forthwithly or automatically it will affect their careers, their academic careers, and also it will damages the identity of a researcher and also that the reputations of the institutions and also and then that their academic strengths also will be affected by the researchers. So we should not that I mean the researcher should not that commit that or that plagiarism while they are doing that the works of others, while they are doing the research on that works of other by without citing or that by science that properly that citing or that acknowledging the works of the others. So it will that lead the researchers life in the path of that wrong, and also it will delude or it will mislead the followers of these participants as well as the followers of the researchers also will be affected by their works. So that the researcher should be that cautious, should be conscious as well as that should be aware while they are going to use the words of others, while they are going to use the words thoughts of others, or that while they are going to use, mention that the works of others, though they should be that aware, they should be that aware, they should be very conscious to promote their works of art while they are going to mention the works of others. And then that next we move to that what are the types of that plagiarisms well we have to face doing that research. So we could find that the direct plagiarisms, it means that it refers to the copying the works of others, copying the words of others, whether the researcher is going to copy the words by word or that the sentence or the structure by structure like that, they can then copy them. So it will lead, it will denote or it will indicate them do that the act of the direct plagiarism. So they should avoid, they should away from that the books of that committing the plagiarism. And then next that the researcher can that do that can affect by that can be affected by self plagiarisms. So here that we know that the primary author as well as the secondary author are the same. So here that the self plagiarisms, that you're reusing the ideas of others. I mean that they're reusing that ideas of one's own, the previous works, or that the primary author has already written the book. So if he wants to that they mention the same thought in his the second book, or that the second creations of his papers, or that the constructions of his research papers, and there that they can mention it as a self plagiarism. They have to mention the name, they have to write, they have to under the names, and then that name as well as that the book name as well as that their page numbers. Then only they can that away from they can preserve, they can conserve it, they can preserve, they can protect themselves from the act of committing the plagiarism. So whether that the research as that the research writer or that the primary writer has already written the works of others as the works of themselves, again if they want to that if he or she wants to that using or reusing that the ideas of the same means, they have to mention it, their names as well as their work name as well as their page number. Then only they can away from that the self plagiarisms. And here that the mosaic or that the patchwork of plagiarism, the next step is called as mixing that copied the phrases with a text, phrases with the original text. Why they have to that using the patchworks? We know that the patchworks means they're going to that change a few ideas or the few terms, or that the ideas which are not related to their research. They may that steal ideas of others, or they're pirating the ideas of others. Then it will lead themselves in the field of danger as the path of danger. So they should not that steal ideas of others. At the same time, then I would like to tell you that the next one is called as the accidental plagiarisms. There that when the researcher is going to that use the idea of others, then they should reluctant, they should avoid, they should that consigns, they should truthful to their consigns, and then that they can go for the researcher, and then that they can easily that emulate themselves, and they can enlighten themselves, they can create their enlightening thoughts this by while they are doing that the works of their own. Yes, and at the same time, many researchers are that don't that many researchers are doing that the paraphrasing, the act of paraphrasing that plagiarism. Why we should not that paraphrase? We should not that mention the same words as well as the speculation, the terms of others. So we should create our own, so that the researcher as well as the parts, I mean that the others should increase the power of the vocabulary skills. So when we are going to developing that the integrating or that yes, integrating the skill of vocabulary, the power of vocabulary, when we are going to increase in the power of vocabularies, then we need not to that worry about the plagiarisms. So we can write, we can make, we can that share, yes, we can share to create our own works. So we should not that copy from works of others. We can easily emulate, we can create our own. So when we are having that enough or the plenty or the thorough or the enough vocabularies or the power of vocabularies skills, then we can easily promote, we can easily write our words, we can easily that write our research articles, research papers, or that any person or any stories, or that any books chapters you can create by your own. So we should develop that the sense of the skill of vocabulary as well as the power of increasing the vocabularies, and the ideas, the structure should be changed. For example, if author has used I mean the primary author has used another structure means, then you have to create, you have to use the different structures. You have to write the different words. I mean the words which are not related to that the primary authors. Which are not same, yes, which are not that the same to the works of the, I mean the words of others, the thoughts of others. So it should be that arise, it should be create from others. It should be create from, sorry, it should create from ours. For example, that when the writer John Keats, such a beautiful poet, the romantic poet, younger romantic poet, actually has mentioned in his one of the famous poetry that's called that the ode on the poet, ode and the poets. There that he has mentioned in the very few first line of the poetry, he stated that The birds are passions of mirth, and they have left their soul on the earth, and they have left their soul on the earth. Why I have to mention his words here means, so the researcher, the author, the writer, they have to know, they should know that why, what's the important of the author, what's the worth of the author, what's the vital or the what's the proponent of the authorship, there that he has mentioned beautifully in that poetry, birds of passions of birth, and they have left their soul on the earth, and they have left their soul on the earth. So birds, BARDS, poet, birds means poet. So birds are passions of mirth, they have left their soul on the earth, and they have left their soul on the earth. They that so here he has stated that the writers, I mean that the people, especially the writer, is having that commonly, sorry, that commonly that we have that two way of living in this sense, as well as that in the realm of the heaven. So there are two ways we can, there are two ways we can live in this earth as well as in the realm of the heaven, in the place of heaven, the place of paradise. The very first way is not common to all. The very first way is called as through our writings, through our literary productions, through our literary works or the literary gems, literary works, then we can. So through our writings, we can live in this earth as well as the realm of the heavens. After that, the post must of us. So now that the rule war, so he's aliving because of his trikra, his couplet, his works. That's so when the readers are is going to that, when the readers going to that read the works of, read the incantations or the enchantments or the words or the thoughts of Thiruvalluvar, and through that the readers, through the form of readers, reader, that the Thiruvalluvar will be aliving. So like that, when we are going to produce our works, then will be that living. Like again, yes, like William Shakespeare also has also that mentioned that is another beautiful sonnet, such a beautiful sonnet on being compared with the summer's day, that actually he has dedicated to his friend. Yes, as well as with this, he has dedicated his friend. There that the last two lines of the poetry, sorry, the sonnet says that. Oh my god, yes. So this line, I mean, this line will give you that eternal life. This is the last line of this sonnet. That is, actually that he dedicated to his friend, and there that perhaps of there that he has mentioned, oh my dear friend, you need not to worry about the death, the act of death, the misery of death, the misery of death, the worries of death, so dirge of death. So that this line you can alive, you will be aliving this line. I mean that through my line, through my poetry, you will be aliving. So like that, we can alive through the writings of through our writings, through our literary productions or that any scientific productions of your writings, we will be that aliving. And then that the second way, yes, the second way is common to all. The very first way is only for the writers, right, poet, the novelist or the fictionist or that any other writers, is pertaining to that the writers, the realm of the writers. The second way is common to all. The second way is called as yes, through our contributions which we have done for the welfare of others, through our welfare of the contributions which we have done for the welfare of others. So for example, we may die that, but before that our death, we have been that helping others, that the others may that help us, this may that benefited by us, and there that they will mention, yes, yes, they have done that, help me, they have done contributions for the welfare of my life, so that is still like that living, still like that surviving. So through their mouth we can alive. So like that, the researcher should carefully paraphrasing as well as the works of others, as well as the creation of their own thoughts, as well as the creation of their ideas. So then only they can easily stand up. So like that, at the same time, the same poet Chankis also mentioned the same poetry ode on the poet, ode to the poets. The researcher mind, the researcher mind, it should be a fountain. Like you know that it's a fountain, and that the water is that bubbles come out from that, it's like continuously or the persistently, the drops of the water is will come out from that the hole, that's called a fountain. So the researchers mind should be a it should be like a is that and then that the fountain. Yes, the researcher's mind should be like a fountain. The thoughts should arise, the ideas, the thoughts, the content, that the thoughts should, the ideas should arise, should come out. It's like a fountain of water. The drops of the waters come out from the fountain. Then that we have to organize. Yes, after having that so many ideas or the plenty of ideas or the enormous ideas, then we have to organize it. So how to organize means the based on the concept, based on that the title of your own book, you have to organize the ideas, and then that you have to. You can go for that writings. You can go for the act of writing your paper. Then that we need not to the worry, you need not to the worry about anything else. And there that you can easily create your work of that art or the scientific works. So you should have that. I mean, the researcher should train their mind like a fountain. Then that they can create. So they should have that creative skill as well as the creative knowledge as and yes. And next we move, yes. Actually, so these are that the types of plagiarisms we should avoid. We should avoid. Yes, we should actually that almost we should avoid that plagiarism. So while you are committing that the act of plagiarism while we are writing or while we are going to publishing or that while we are going to producing the work of art, so we should avoid plagiarisms for the benefit, for the welfare, for the betterment of our academic as well as that our own integrity, academic integrities. And next we move to that preventing of plagiarism. So how what are the ways and how to protect ourselves from the act of plagiarism? So how what are the ways and how to protect ourselves from the act of plagiarism? So these are the ways which we can that prevent our works from the I mean that the works of the plagiarism. I mean the act of plagiarism. So the very first thing is that the researcher should properly that cited their words in their citations. So they should use that proper citation in their works of or in their research papers. Yes, if the researcher always forget to that mention the words of others, if they have been the if they have used the words of others, then it will certainly it will definitely it will lead them in the path of the danger. It will be affected. They will be affected by the act of plagiarism. So at the same time, the researcher should that paraphrase when they are going to paraphrasing the ideas of others. So they should not that copying the ideas, the whole ideas or the whole content. So they should not actually they should not copy the ideas of others. They have to create. At the same time, the paraphrase should be that effectively by without copying the structures. So they can mention. I mean, the researcher will have that they lazy. That I mean, they are having that as slothly to mention that the works of I mean the creation of their own or the writings of them. So they are lazy to write means they simply copied from the works of others. They may that copied. They may that adapt thoughts of others and mention as if their own. So it should be reluctant. It should be avoided by the researcher while they are writing, while they are doing the research on their part. And at the same time, they can that use the grammarly. I mean that the tools which are used to do that away from that plagiarisms, like a Turnitin, like that. Is you can check, you can verify that where actually you have committed, where you actually that affected by the plagiarism, the act of plagiarism. So what to do that you have to change. You have to change the structure. You have to change the words. You have to create by your own. So you should not copy it from the others. Then only you can easily create your own work of art, and you can proud to that produce your of or the all references should be a clear manner. So what are the references, what are the books, what are the materials the research have been that referred for the creation of for the construction of for the make of his own words, his research paper. They have to plus they have to mention. So in that I mean that in the citation page, if they have to mention, they have to citation, they have to cite what are the text, what are that the references, whether that the primary, I mean that the researcher should properly cite that the primary works as well as that the secondary works of the author. So they should mention that they should properly mention, they should properly cited that the primary sources of their own research as well as that the secondary sources of the research, what actually they have done. So they have to properly, then only they can that easily away from or that provide or that sorry, protect or preserve themselves from the act of plagiarism. So at the same time that they should properly, they should that clearly, they should crystal clearly they have to mention that mention the works of the author as well as the what are the books, what are the journals, and what are the secondary sources which they have referred for the during the time of their research. They have to properly mention that. And then that the researcher always that the credit those of ideas and the basis of images. For example, if the researcher is going to use images of something for their researchers means, then they have to verify, they have to create by themselves, and then that they have to properly mention what it actually contain, the image is contain, what actually it is going to elucidate, what actually it is going to that reveal or that refer or teach or inculcate or promote to others. They should be familiar as well as they should be properly that draw their images for their article. For example, when it comes to that the scientific research means they have to depend, I mean the engineering or that any other subjects they can that is to use they are using images for the explanation or for the elucidation of their own thoughts in their research paper. So they have to properly draw pictures and they have to properly that mention the thoughts, and that the image should be very clear manner. So it should be viewed by the others, and they should not that provide that or use any blurred images or the images of others. So they have to use it their own, and also they can easily follow it, and they can easily produce the data. At the same time, if they are going to collect the ideas or the data which are related to their content of their research means, then they should be that very conscious as well aware to collect their data. So they should not that collect any irrelevant I mean the ideas which are not related to their content. So there will be useful for the collecting the ideas which are not related to their research. So they should collect the ideas, they should collect the data, the ideas or the content which are related to their own research. It's not that related to their own. So they should create their own thing. At the same, then only the credits will goes to that will goes to that researcher. So then we can proud to say that yes, I have that produce my own researcher. Like that we can say that we can validate to say ourselves, set ourselves. So we have to away this kind of that plagiarism, and we can prevent ourselves. I mean, the researcher can prevent from the act of plagiarism by using, if they are going to persistently or continuously or seriously, if they are going to following these the preventions of preventing tools for committing the plagiarism. At the same time, that prevention tools for that producing their work of art by without science committing the plagiarism. So they can easily away, they can easily preserve, they can protect themselves. So they should follow, they should persistently follow this kind of that the proper I mean that the preventing tools of the plagiarism. So next I would like to that move to data integrity and management. So when it comes to that the data integrity management, actually it refers to that accuracy as well as the consistency as well as the completeness of the research as well as the reliability of data. So if the researcher is going to collect any ideas or thoughts from others or that create by themselves, that should be accurate, that should be that containing the accuracy as well as that the reliability as well as the consistency of the data with the ethical thoughts. So that should be authentic ideas as well as that the accuracy, and then that the precise, the thought should be also precise as well as the accuracy, the thought should be accurate. Then only that they can easily produce it, and they should not write any false informations or that they should not write any miscomprehended the ideas, or that any chaotic ideas, any complicated ideas, or any uttering words or uttering ideas. If they are going to write their research means, then the followers of the researchers also will be affected by themselves. So we should not that give any space for that this kind of within the plagiarism or that the ideas of others. So our thought should be an accurate thought should be that reliability, and there should be a reliability between your yes, your thoughts, and also there should be a consistency of your data and then the others. So we should provide that the right authentic accurate details or accurate ideas for the betterment of the future researchers, as well as our own benefit, the benefit of our own things. So we should use the ethical thoughts or the moral ideas to that our research articles. At the same time, the researcher collect the data honestly. Why the researcher has to collect the data honestly? Listen, yes, I would like to tell you one thing that I would like to refer one thing that the researcher, before they are going to collect the ideas of our datas or informations or content or ideas from others or the data and anywhere, they should bias. There should be a biased person. There should be a biasly person, as well as that they should be honest. So if you are going to truthful to your concerns, as well if you are having the honesty that of your own, then that no one can put any obstacles for the welfare of your own research. For example, that such an African writer, African poet, he has mentioned like Phyllis Wheatley. He has mentioned that such a beautiful quote in his famous poetry to his example that Washington. That's a beautiful poetry. Their actions are also nature's. So without any artificial obstacles will not be appear on the process of progress of your path. So there that you can preserve. So if you are having that the loyal, I mean that if you are having that honesty, then the honesty as well. If you are loyal to yourself and also that truthful to your conscience, then why do you that worry about others? So you can reveal it. You can promote it, you can elevate it, you can that elevate yourself, you can elevate yourself by without having the force of others. So that I would like to tell you that you should have that the sense of that the honesty as well as that the skill of the creations of your own. At the same time that you should not that seeing the ideas of others. So there that so you should have that the researcher should follow that honesty while they are collecting the data. At the same time, yes, we should not that, hide our identity. So we should not be a clandestine like persons. We should be open as well as the frankly. Like we should be truthful to others. We should be truthful to our research. So if we are truthful to our research, truthful to our concerns, then that God as well as that your thoughts will be guiding, will be instructing, will be leading your life in that the beautiful as well as the right path of your life. So we need you need not that worry about any. At the same time, you should not that lie to the others for collecting the data. For example, sir, I'm coming from like the I'm like this. My relatives are like that. We should not that introduce the others. You should not mention the names of others. You should not create any false identifications to others while you are going to collecting that the research collecting the ideas or data from the others are the, at any way. So you should be that you should be that truthful to your research as well as while you're collecting the data. The data should be truthful. The data should be accurate. The data should be right. The data should be useful as well as utilized by the others. Like then only that you can organize and then that your automatically your research will be in a successful manner. At the same time, to record data without manipulations. Yes, so you should not that stealing the ideas. At the same time, when you're going to record the data by without the permissions or without getting that permission or sans getting that the permissions of others. I mean, for example, you are a secondary author. Okay, you are going to write. You are going to create or construct your own research. By the works of, I mean, by based on the works of others means. So by without getting the permission or that without getting by sans getting that permission or that any approval of from the writers, so we cannot use their thoughts. As well as it should be that it will be called as the intellectual, that as well as it will lead us in the path of the dangers. So we should that mention the books. At the same time, the researcher should avoid or reluctant the fabricated details, fabrications, there's a falsifications of others, the creations of others, or the changing of others. So normally that the researchers, I mean the few researchers, not really all, few researchers may that they may involve, or they may indulge, or they may engage themselves in the field of that they're using, or that using or mentioning the fabricated ideas, or the falsified ideas, or that any changes of ideas of others in their research. So they should reluctant, they should avoid to mention that. Then only they can create their own. At the same time, they can preserve their name also. They can preserve their identity also. They can preserve the reputations of their institutions also. They can preserve it. So like that, I would like to say that the researcher should not be fabricated and the ideas of others. Fabric should not write the fabricated ideas from the others, like that. They have to follow that. At the same time, they have to follow the domain. They have to maintain. They have to persistently maintaining that the transparency in methodology. So we are going to use that the methodology of your writings, as well as that the methods of writings, where you should be very proper. You should be very thorough. At the same time, if you are going to use any approaches in your research, for example, the moral approach, or the materialistic approach, or the psychological approach, or the archetypal approach, or the historical approaches. So you should be thorough. Yes, that more approaches means you can take the works from anywhere. You can take examples from anywhere. Then you can say you can that emulate. You can easily mention that. I mean, the thought should be that the moral. For example, that yes. William Shakespeare's like the Hamlet. It's a moral. Yes, it teaches that the morality of teachings, as well as that it leads the ethics of delay and procrastination. So we should that use that the ideas. At the same time, that we should properly use the approaches, the moral, or that materialistic approach, or the psychological approach, or the archetypal approaches. So we should be familiar with these approaches while you are going to connect with your writings with the approaches. By the approaches. There you should be familiar, and you should be flexible with your theory as well as your approaches while you are going to use for your research, your own research. There that yes, so it can preserve. At the same time, that it can preserve the raw data securely from the verifications. So you may collect that the ideas are not completed, or that ideas of others by without having that the proper information, or that the proper books, sorry, proper citations about it. Then you should not go there. So if you're not having that ideas, I mean, if you're not having enough ideas, or that enough thoughts, or that enough informations, or enough details about the work, means you should not go for that. You have to go for that someone else. At the same time, you should not that you should not write any raw materials, or the raw ideas. I mean, the incomplete, or that any fragmented ideas, or fragmented thoughts, or fragmented approaches in your research papers. So it should be completed. It should be the definition. It should be that full completed by your own. So your research paper, your articles, or that your own stories, or the any your publication like that, it should not be a fragment. It should be a completed one. It's like that the researchers can that produce their works of art while they are going to that create. At the same time, that next I would like to that move that the ethical treatment of the human as well as the animal subjects. Why that the ethical ideas, or that why we have to depend, why we should to follow that the ethical as well as the moral of the canon of ethical, or the moral ideas, while you are going to that using that the animal subjects, while we are going to writing our articles, or that on the subjects of animal as well as the humans. So when the researcher is going to conduct his research on the treatment of animal as well as human as well as animal subject means, and what are the things, what are the subject, what are the ideas, what are the rules, what are the etiquettes they should follow while they are having the research on the treatment of the human as well as the animal subjects. While you're having that the animal as a, there's research on the subjects of human as well as the animals. The very first thing is that to obtain the consent, actually to receive that to complete information about the study. So, for example, if they are going to mention that the wrong informations or that the false informations about the person, actually before the researcher should follow that, should mention that, should follow and that the basic, the fundamental or the proponent or vital, the etiquettes of the research, as well as the human as well as the animals, actually means the respect for humans, the respect to a person, the respect for the persons as well as that the functions, the justice. So they have to very careful. So here that the researcher should respect the person while they are going to conduct the research on the human subject. So they should treat all equally the society. At the same time that if they are going to mention or if they are going to conduct their research on the human means, they should not that provide any false informations or that any that the fabricated ideas, any ethical ideas, any unethical or that any immoral ideas or immoral thoughts about the person in their articles. Then it will be that affect, it will be a problematic one to the researcher as well as that his works, his academic career also. So the researcher should careful, should that will they are having that the awareness, they should have some awareness or that they should be conscious to have their research on that the subject of the humans. So they should respect the people. Yes, at the same time the researcher should not that provide that any irrelevant ideas or that any personal ideas of the person of another person or the other person in their works. So that should be a very, it should be differ. So the researcher cannot have that the rights to that rights to interpret or that right to have that mention the wrong informations or the I mean the false informations or the fabricated ideas about or any irrelevant ideas of the persons in their studies. So it will be affect a problem. It will be a problematic one, and also that the researcher will be affected by the cases. So if they are going to use or mention any wrong information about the persons, and at the same time the researcher should should conserve, should protect the privacy of a person, the privacy of persons, the article, I mean the subjects. So if they are going to write about any persons, any human is human on their research means, then they should ensure themselves before they are going to conduct their research. So there that they should preserve, they should conserve, they should protect their privacy. So the researcher cannot have the rights to mention that the privacy details or the personal details or that the unofficial details or the whether the official or the unofficial details about the person in their research papers or in their research articles or in works of art or in their books or that in the chapter publication of the chapters of the books. So they cannot have the rights to mention it. Why means if they are going to mention any false information or that if they are going to mention like their personal details or that the privacy detail or that the unofficial or the official details in their works means, then that will be that will lead or that will delude that themselves, their life, their academic also, their life also will be affected by them. So at the same time that they should preserve the dignity of a person. So while they're having that research on their human, yes, human subject, so they should preserve the dignity of a person. At the same time, their personal detail should be that confidentially maintained by the researchers. But at the same time, the researcher should have that the plenty of ideas as well. I mean the flexible as well that the whole ideas about the persons, the thoughts of the person. At the same time, then they should be preserved. They should be preserved in a confidential manner. So it will preserve the news. At the same time, the researcher may that minimize or the risk or the avoid harmful procedures. Like if the researcher is going to use or read the words of others, like any harmful activities of done by the person means, or the I mean, if the researcher is going to use any ideas or thoughts, their ideas which are not related to the person means then immediately that it will be harmful. it will make mishap, it will damage, it will that affect the identity of a person. So it should be reluctant by the researcher. So the researcher should not create any harmful activities, any harmful ideas, or any other that the moral ideas towards on the humans while they are going to conduct the research on the person. So there should be very proper, as well as that they should be very careful and they should be conscious, that should be aware about themselves. Then only they can they can conduct the research on the human subject, the subjects of the human, the subject of human. So yes, these are the things the researcher should follow while they are going to have that the treatment of human. Here I would like to tell you that I would like to refer such beautiful words of the writer, the Rabindranath Tagore. He has mentioned in his one of the famous poetry some drama that's called Chantalika. Chantalika is a beautiful drama. There he has mentioned that how actually the treatment of humanity has been treated by the people, by the folks, by the subjects of in the society. And then but when actually the heroine, the protagonist of the drama is Prakriti, and then that the Ananda also is another protagonist of the drama. Then the when Ananda went to the forest for the act of hunting, while he came back to his house for that on the way that he was in the state of heavy thirst. There that while the girl, that Prakriti, the protagonist, who is that she's taking the water from the well, and there that she reluctant to provide him water, and there that yes, she has mentioned that is actually that I belongs to that that I mean the lawyer like that he has mentioned, she has mentioned there that the Ananda, the Buddhist, actually he has mentioned. Don't humiliate yourself because that self humiliation is a great sin. Self humiliation is a great sin. So like that we should not use any ideas which are related to the humility and the humility of others. So the researcher should not write any false information as well as any ideas of other, I mean that the ideas of others in a wrong way, in a immoral way, or that in an unethical manner in the writings. So it should be that treated equally. They are whether that they are going to have conducting their research on human subject or the animal subject, it doesn't matter, but they have to treat Allah equally. At the same time, there is their thoughts also properly that written by written by the authors or the researchers. So the researcher should not that make any space to the persons, the humans in the path of any risk, or that sorry, at any risk stage, not at the stage of risk. So they should be, I mean, the researcher should avoid using that any harmful ideas, or that any personal, or that the provider, or the private information, or the personal ideas, personal information, or first personal details about the person in their articles, in their research papers. So they should not mention that, they should not write. So it will affect the persons. I mean, the persons which they have used in their articles, in their that I mean the study, I mean the research study, or the conducted on that the humans, which that I mean the humans. So they should avoid it. So they should preserve the human dignity and also the confidentiality as well as it should be their confidential manner when that the researcher is going to the elucidate or that write or mention the works of the, I mean the study of others, the characterizations of it is yes, when it comes to that the ethos or traits, or that characteristics of person, the human, they should be very cautious. They should be very careful to mention, to write about the informations which are related to the humans. At the same time, when it comes to that the treatment of the animal subjects. For example, if our researcher, if the researcher is going to conduct their studies, the researcher studies on the study on the animal subject, and then that should be that treated with the care. So the researcher should treat the animal subject with the care, and then that avoid suffering as well as the endangering that human conditions. So they should care about the animals. So they should have some mercy. They should have leniency. They should have mercy. They should have leniency. They should have that empathy and that the animal as well as the humans. So all of that should be that treated equally. At the same time that they have to preserve the dignity. At the same time, here that when you are going to conduct the research on the animal subject, so it's like a treatment to minimal as well as the suffering. So we should not that just make the animals as a state of suffering. So we should not make any harm to that the animals for your things for your research. For example, that I would like to tell you a beautiful example from my own research paper. As well as that my thesis also there that my author has mentioned that he has mentioned such a beautiful author has mentioned in his one of the famous poetry as well as novel and then Langshan Hughes has mentioned when the white persons white characters they were misused, they were ill-treated blacks in their works, in their Souls of Black Folks. That's the title of the short story, Souls of Black Folks. There that the white couples, they were ill-treated, they were mistreated, they were ill-treated the persons for the betterment of their creation of their art. Actually, the white couples are they are having that the skill of, I mean, they are preparing that art. By their art, they haven't used, they haven't violently or the brutally using that utilizing that the services of the persons of the black folks. There that she asked him though yes that the black the white girl white couple who asked black a person to sit in a night I mean that without having that any proper dress in the public and there that there you should find that you could find the reference so how to teach the humanity and how to that, conduct a research on humanity and how to use that with the humans effect as well as humans how to conduct a research on the human subjects so we should be that we should treat all the time the researcher should treat as well as it should mention should write the charts which are equally I mean the on par would mean like that this they have to treat they should not that treat or that animals or that they should not treat the humans so if they are going to the treat the humans or the animals in the research, I mean that the act of research, then it will be that create or forthwith or certainly it will create a problematic one to the researcher and also his research study also and also almost his research career also or academic career also that will be affected by themselves and he or she cannot I mean the researcher cannot blame anyone the researcher can blame himself only because herself only like that because they have conducted so that when you are going to conduct a research on that animal subject so you should follow these things you should treat it equally and you should respect the animal you should have that leniency you should have mercy and you should not make the animals to suffer for the welfare of your own art. Yes, I have mentioned that one of that the Imani boy, the black there that yes, he asked to get out from his I mean throughout from their house while he was not that ready to that he's not ready to cooperate with the works of betterment of the work of the white couples and there that they asked they throw out the fellow from that their I mean the person the black person from their house and there that he has mentioned that I mean the white couple actually she was crying for that actually it was not she was not crying for that the black person I mean that the maid the maid yes the maid servant the servant who actually that grabbed from the throat from her house actually she was crying for that the fragmentation of her work the incompletion of her work. So she does not have that the leniency or mercy on the humans. So she failed well. She was failed to do that to protect the preservate the conservate to treat that humanity with the equality with the equal respects. So like that. So the researcher should carefully mention the researcher should have that carefully as well as that should consciously to use or they're having their studies or the research studies studies on that the subjects of both the subjects of human as well as the animals. So the researcher should be careful while they are having that study on both the animal as well as the human subject. So at the same time, they should ensure that the validity as well as the reliability of the scientific research, like that. Their research should inculcate others. Your research, your paper, or that your thoughts, your ideas should intersect others. Like that, the writer, that such a beautiful writer that Horace actually has mentioned. A literature or the scientific order, it should instruct and delight the audience. It should delight the readers. So that each, if any work, whether the scientific or that the artistic, it should instruct and delight the audience, delight the readers. So at the same time, such a philosopher has mentioned, like the Aristotle has mentioned in his one of the famous the critical work, the tragedy, the critical work is called as tragedy, and there that has mentioned beautifully. A work of art or the work of creations, it should create both pity and fear. Pity and fear in the minds of the readers as well as in the members of the audience. So each and every work should create some fear as well as a pity on that works, and also it will emulate, it will lead, it will instruct others. It will be that useful to others, so that your studies will be that will get that credits by your own. So each and every work should be that useful as well as should be beneficial to others. While you're having that the study, while you're going to produce your that art works or any scientific work, should be very at the same time it should be a standard one. So you should create your idea. You should produce your own works by your own standard, so that the people can easily that the people can great. At the same time, you should treat equally both the human as well as the animal, and you should. And when you're going to have the studies, I mean research study or the research book on that both human as well as the animal subjects. And next, I would like to move that authorship as well as the contributions. This is called as the yes here authorship as well as the contributions. Why the authorship is very much important for that. So it refers that the credit given to the individual as well as who made that and the significant intellectual contributions. So when you're going to create by yourself, your author, I mean your work means, then you can create. So that I would like to tell you that yes, I have already mentioned that the writers having that to that they can live in both as well as the realm as well as the realm of the heaven. I mean the realm of the earth as well as the heaven based on their works of art. As the same time, when you're going to get an authorship for that your own creation, so automatically you will be that individualized. You will be that specifically individualized by your own creation of art. So in order to that create yourself, okay, that your authors are, I mean your authorship, your scholarship, I mean that your knowledge, your laws, it will create the identity. It will be, so it will create an identity for yourself. So in order to that create for that the as at the same time, it will that improve that the power of that in the intellectual as well as the contributions, the responsibilities of the authorships. So you should have that hence you should have that the familiar ideas as well as the ideas should be familiar. You should be familiar with the ideas, and then we can contribute. You can write, write about or write on that your works maybe on that the human or the animals, or that any education or that any awareness programs, or that any subject, or that any theories or any text, or that any cautions like that. You can create, you can mention, you can that produce your own arc. At the same time, before you are going to write or that make or construct your own book, or that your own article, or that your papers, your own story, or that your own thing, so you should designing the study. Yes, I have already mentioned that in the beginning of that my presentations. So there are two questions you should ask yourself in every day, especially while you are going to do the research. What you are going to do, as well as that how you are going to do. Yes, what you are going to do and how you are going to do. There that you have to design the study. So when you're going to design or that construct the study, and that your your research study, then it will help you to the which area, which discipline, which the aspects of your study which you are going to conduct. Which you are going to conduct a research. So you have to design first of all, and then you can go for that your writings of your writing as well. You can go for your third year studies, or you can go for the creation of your art, or the creation of ideas, and then the thoughts, and then the data analysis and as well as the interpretations. So when that yes, when you're going to interpret the data of others, so it should be that cautiously, you will be cautiously conscious, sorry, consciously is consciously you have to read, you have to interpret the words of others. So without having the consciousness and your that interpretation of data, then it will be that affected. So you have to data, you have to analyze the data properly and ideas properly and organizing the ideas, and then that you can go for the interpretations. Yes, actually the tool which is, yes, the interpretations you can use for that interpreting the ideas of your own as well as the rest of others. So you have to mention, and then that while you are going through drafting that and revising the manuscript. Yes, after the completion of your work, after the completion of your writings, you have to revise it. Yeah, you should conduct the revisions of a test, and then that it should be the manuscript, and you have to revising the manuscript. You have to check, you have to analyze, you have to check, you have to verify, you have to keenly verify that the thoughts, the ideas, the phrases, the structure, sentence structures which you have been that using, which you have that have used in your articles, which are written by your articles, and then I have to verify it. And after the rectifications of your errors, then you can go further to the publications as well as before that checking the plagiarism, the act of checking the plagiarisms, under that you can use it. And next, I would like to move that the award unethical that practices like that. We should not have give your goods of scholarship. Like means the authors, I mean that some authors maybe that misuse, some persons may misuse that the authorship. So some person may mention the works of, I mean the names of others, but they have it in their wounds. So it should be that but at the same time uncredited contributors is called as, why we have to call it means, so they are called as the unethical contribution, like the person who is not writing the, who is not writing the ethical ideas or the moral ideas to that the fellow authors, I mean the co-authors like that. So we should that avoid. At the same time, there is no duty or there is no principle, there is no rule, there is no canons for that the unethical authors. I mean that the ghost authors. So they can, what actually if they think then something, they can write it, so they can mention it, they can create it. So they have to avoid it. So at the same time, the honorary authorship and adding that and involve that individuality. So we should not that I mean the researcher should not involve the works of others while the work is not properly, the work is not that properly cited by others or that written by others. So we should preserve our own individuality. So we should not give any assurance or the we should not that ready to the I mean join with the others or the commitment to the others of. At the same time, all must have that all authors must approve that the final manuscript. Yes, this is very much important. Yes, the researcher should produce the originality of ideas as well thoughts as well the conduct in publications. And at the same time, they should have the more ideas in their research papers. At the same time, the all authors must have that approved the final manuscript. Why? Yes, for example, after completion of your writings of your article, you have to give to others, like your teachers or that your friends or that your clicks like that. So you have to verify, and then that you can at the same time before you should conduct a self study, you should conduct a self test for that your own articles, and then you can go for the others, and then you can easily produce and you can have the, you can get you will get ideas. So how to rectify the errors and on where actually you have committed errors and how to error the mistakes in your actually in your papers in your terms. At the same time that I would like to that conclude with the last is of that the thing is called as the unethical. Yes, unethical as well as the obnoxious. So we should not give any space to others. At the same time, that avoid unethical practices like that. The unethical. Why we have to say that the unethical means we should not write. We should mention the thoughts which are not related to ethics. So we have to preserve the moral. We should our writing should be in a moral way. We should write the moral. We should mention the moral. We should incorporate. We should mention that the moral thoughts, moral ideas in your research papers. Yes, and thank you, Anantal. It's my most special to thank you. Anantal, thank you very much for your patience of listening, sir. I would like to conclude my session, sir. Thank you so much for your patience, dear audience, and the organizers. I should immensely thank the organizers of this webinar, Minister of Government of India, MSME. I should thank Sri sir and Sonja madam and other organizers of this webinars. Thank you so much, one and all. Thank you, one and all, for your patience.
Thank you, sir, for explaining about this some topics like academic integrating plagiarism and its types, authorship and contribution.
Yes, ma'am. Thank
Before
you.
we would like to thank our sponsors, JVK Technologies. JVK Technologies
Yes.
offers a public JVK Technologies offers a publication services including Scopus, SCI, patents, copyrights, thesis, and textbooks, etc. Before we would like Before we conclude, we would like to thank you our sponsors JVK Technologies. JVK Technologies offers a publication services including Scopus, essays, patents, copyrights, theses, and textbooks, etc. For any publications assistance, you are warmly invited to their WhatsApp group, link in the chat box as well as comment section. For any publications assistance, you are warmly invited to join their WhatsApp group, link in their chat box as well as comment section. We also thanks all participants for joining us today. Please fill the feedback form for the certificates. First, please fill the feedback from the certificates. Those who fill the feedback only will get the certificates. Please fill the feedback from for the certificates. Those who fill the feedback only will get the certificates. Please fill the feedback from the for the certificates. Those who fill the feedback from Those who fill the feedback only will get the certificates.